and welcome to an SBK, not Saturday Night Selections podcast, but a one-off. We've got a special US Contenders podcast for Royal Ascot. We'll have about 10 horses to go through. We'll try talking about the confirmed runners. Obviously, there are one or two others that may or may not come over, but we'll find those out in the next few days or so, and you can find all thoughts on social media. But we'll be going through the confirmed runners today. My name's Luke Elder, Tom Collins alongside me, and I must say, Tom, I can't wait for Royal Ascot for the US contingent this year. It's not just Wesley Ward. We've got the likes of Christophe Clement, Kenny McPeak. We've got a few guys coming over and trying their chance.
Yeah, look, it's the whole buzz about Royal Ascot. It's not only the best flat meeting because we've got the best British runners, but we've also got the best US runners coming across as well. It's lovely to see, isn't it? Wesley Ward's trained 12 winners at Royal Ascot. Maybe he makes that 13 or even 14 this year. Tepin won the Queen Anne in 2016 for Mark Cassey. It's good to see an influx of other trainers coming across. Christophe Clement's got a few. Rusty Arnold's got at least one coming next week as well. So look, the Royal Ascot US runners are crucial to the success of this meeting, and it just increases the anticipation, doesn't it, ahead of Royal Ascot?
Yeah, I mean, even from an international point of view, you've got the likes of Nature Strip coming from Australia. You've got Japanese runners. As a Czech runner as well in the King's Stand. Whether he'll be confirmed, I'm not sure, but was at least in the entries. And obviously, you've got any French, German, any other runners. So Royal Ascot is very much becoming an international fair. But the US have had a fair bit of success in recent years. And interestingly as well, just before we get into the sort of list of horses to work our way down, Wesley Ward giving a handicap entry to one, which we don't see all that often. Obviously, we saw him win the Sandringham with Conte Partiro a few years ago. If you haven't seen that or want to refresh your memory, one of the best rides you will see on a racecourse, Tom, from Jamie Spencer.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Jamie Spencer at Ascot is mustard. I don't care what social media say. I'm a big fan of Jamie Spencer. Yes, it doesn't always go correct, but just watch that Conte Partiro victory, as you say. It was incredible from last to first. And yes, Wesley Ward is running a horse in a handicap, which you're going to be covering in this section, I believe. Very intriguing to see how she gets on. We don't know what the handicap is going to do with her. Look, I didn't want to be a handicapper right now. How would you know what mark to give Ruth in is the horse in question. She could be top weight. She could go off favourite. She could be 14-1 and, be very well handicapped or poorly handicapped. Who knows? But she's an intriguing runner in a race that we're not used to seeing American horses in.
Yeah, when I get to Ritten, I'm going to have to say two previews of under 100 rated, over 100 rated, because we just don't know. We just do not know. I think it will be over 100, but we don't know. But look, we'll go through the runners sort of day by day. A couple are on Tuesday, and Tom, you're starting with one of the Coventry runners.
Yes, the first runner is late September. He runs in the Coventry on Tuesday, as you mentioned. The first of potentially two runners for trainer Rusty Arnold, who's a 67-year-old trainer, won plenty of races stateside, shrewd guy as well. He hasn't really had many runners over here, but this horse is a son of Munnings, had both starts on dirt, so there's a turf question mark there. First time out, he looked very one-paced over 4.5 furlongs, but he broke slowly. Maybe he just wasn't physically mature that day. Rusty Arnold is not a trainer that gets his horses ready first time up. So the fact he even ran fourth in that contest at Keeneland during the spring meet, where the maidens are red hot, was a good run. Made amends last time out. Impressive victory from off the speed. Intriguing to see how he runs in here. Does he bomb out from the start and go for glory early on, or is he held up? Colin Keane takes the rider, which is a huge positive if he likes it late September. And I don't really know what price we're going to see with this horse. Bookmakers over here don't know how to price up Rusty Arnold trained runners at Royal Ascot. He could be a player. I'm a bit tentative on him at this stage, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hit the frame.
Yeah, the main thing, or the main reason why they can't price up Rusty Arnold runners is because they've never heard of him, probably. He's not a guy that we'd be too familiar with on these shores. One guy that we are, though, is Wesley Ward. He's got a few runners on the week, and Golden Pal will be his first of those in the King's Stand. He's more shunning 6 furlong races for 2-year-olds at least this year. So Golden Pal, we know all about him. You don't really need me to tell you what he can do. We saw that in the Breeders' Cup. He was absolutely fantastic. He was brilliant in the Shakertown last time around. That's a race that in recent years has been kind of a stepping stone towards Royal Ascot. The likes of Bound for Nowhere, I think Imprimis ran in the race as well before he came over and ran at Royal Ascot. Wesley Ward has gone on record saying this is the best horse I've ever bought to Royal Ascot. Now, I know it's boring. We hear that every single year, but this genuinely is the best horse he's ever bought to Royal Ascot. This is by far and away the best, I would say, even better than the likes of Undrafted and Bound for Nowhere at their best. He is the best sprinter in the world. I'm not convinced about the track for him. That would be the one slight concern. If they were to pick Royal Ascot up again and move it to York, I think he'd be an absolute certainty the way that track's been riding this year. But you go back to the likes of the Norfolk, he was run down late by the Learjet. That still breaks my heart, and I'm not over it just yet. But I think Golden Pal is a really, really strong contender for Wesley Ward, and potentially, Tom, his best.
Yeah, moving from potentially his best runner to another one of his well-fancied runners, which is Love Reigns. This is the first race we're covering on the Wednesday. She runs in the Queen Mary, and she could be one of two runners for the US. Rusty Arnold, as I said, could have a runner in this race. I'm not 100% sure that she's confirmed yet, so we'll just talk about Love Reigns, who is likely to be your favourite. She's the anti-post favourite for this race. She's the daughter of US Navy flag, a 3-time Group 1 winner for Aidan O'Brien. So she's got a European pedigree. She's out of a pivotal mare as well. The turf is absolutely perfect for her. She was bought from Tattersalls in Newmarket as well for just shy of 200k. Everything is right for Love Reigns. They've clearly targeted Royal Ascot in her first season of racing. She's only run once, but it was a really impressive victory. She was slow away from the inside gate, and you can see that quite often in US. If you draw on gate 1 in a maiden, sometimes you miss the break. I don't know why, but it's just a common trend that happens. But she instantly found her stride, and she just romped clear. If you look at the race analysis, race comments, it literally says romped. She was so impressive. She won by 9 3/4 lengths. It wasn't a very good race. 5 horses have come out of that event, and they've all lost since. But there was nothing to take away from Love Reigns. You can only beat what you're against, and she won very impressively. She's going to go a favourite, as I say, in the Queen Mary. I think she's got a great chance of winning. I'm not sure that she is a guaranteed banker because it looks quite a hot race. But look, Wesley Ward will probably be quite raving her reviews in the preview here.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and would be one of the better chances for Love Reigns this week at Royal Ascot. Next one is probably the Wesley Ward horse that I'm less keen on out of the entire bunch, in Seismic Spirit, who is a weird runner. We'll be going towards the Windsor Castle on Thursday, and I guess would have a bit of a chance, but has run once so far, was second in that at Churchill Downs. It was an okay run. I'm not convinced about the form. I'll be perfectly honest. They broke the clock at sort of just before 58 seconds. So it was a good time. I'm not 100%, as I say, convinced about Seismic Spirit. It's a weird horse for Wesley Ward to bring over, but being by Bilardo is more European bred. So maybe an each way chance, but I'm not giving any better than that, Tom.
No, and moving on to Friday, the Commonwealth Cup, and there's a horse called Slipstream in the field, trained by Christophe Clement, the first of 2 runners Christophe's bringing over. And if you don't know anything about Christophe Clement at the moment, well, he's a trainer you need to pay close attention to. He's a real dab hand with his turf horses in the US. He's trained over 2,000 career winners. And before he started his training career in the United States, he was actually the assistant trainer to Luca Comani over in Britain. So look, Christophe Clement knows what he's doing. Luca Comani is a fantastic person to learn from. Slipstream comes in here on the back of 3 victories from 6 starts. He's an improving horse. He stays the trip really well because those 3 victories came from a range of 5.5 furlongs to 7 furlongs. There should be no stamina doubts with him. He's won from the front. He's won from behind. He seems a very versatile horse. Christophe Clement isn't like Wesley Ward as a trainer. He doesn't get them prepared first time up to bomb from the start. He's more of a slow developing trainer, more like Sir Michael Stout or just any European trainer you can think of than Wesley Ward. This looks a hot race, the Commonwealth Cup. It's probably one of the hottest races of the week. And Slipstream previously has been beaten by the likes of Modern Games at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. So he has to improve to match up against our best 3-year-olds. But you can't write this horse off. I think Christophe Clement is a very shrewd judge. He wouldn't bring Slipstream over if he didn't think he could play a big part in the finish. And as I say, he has proven stamina, which is the one doubt everyone seems to have about any US runner at Royal Ascot.
Yeah, I think another horse that's going to have to step up to contend with our best 3-year-olds is Spenderella. We've got a couple of horses who will be coming over and taking on some of our better horses. I know Tom is keen on one of them, but this is a runner for Graham Motion, who is an English guy as well. So he'll be coming over to Royal Ascot hoping for a big race winner. But I'm not convinced with Spenderella. Was a winner last time around. It is, say, a horse that's very much going the right way in her career. Did win the Appellation. The form of that race has worked out all right. There's been a few plays out of it and some in the same race as well, but I'm not 100% convinced with Spenderella. You look at the likes of Homeless Songs, hopefully Inspiral turns up, but judging by price, I'm not 100% convinced on that. I think she's got a lot to find with our 3-year-old fillies. There could be more to come from Spenderella, but I would be less confident on Spenderella. I know there is one, though, in the Coronation, Tom, that you quite like.
Yeah, and that's Pizza Bianca. This race obviously being on the Friday, there's plenty of time for this sun to make the ground rattling fast out there. It's currently good to firm in places. They're going to water, supposedly, but hopefully it stays quick because that will suit both Spenderella and Pizza Bianca. I think Spenderella, who Luke's obviously made a great discussion about so far, I think she'll be ridden forward. She's got natural tactical speed, whereas Pizza Bianca is a horse that comes from behind. She's trained by Christophe Clement, as I've already mentioned, a real shrewd trainer. And this horse has good collateral form with some UK runners. She beat the likes of Hello You, Mise en Scène, Malavath, who's obviously trained in France, but was seen in the 1,000 Guineas, and Cachet, the subsequent 1,000 Guineas winner, when she ran and won at the Breeders' Cup in the autumn. Now, this year, she's had 2 starts. She finished second to a filly called Consumer Spending, trained by Chad Brown, who actually won the other day on her reappearance at Aqueduct. And then last time out, she romped in a real weak affair at Pimlico. She was clearly the best horse, and the other opposition in that race was just overmatched against her. Now, she's a major player. I really think she's been underrated in the market. I think she's going to be a double-figure price come the day. Don't know who's going to take the ride, but I wouldn't be too worried about that. I think she has the same kind of natural burst as Homeless Songs. Now, Homeless Songs is going to be 11 to 10. And yes, she's got better form in the book. Her Irish 1,000 Guineas victory was incredibly impressive. And if she reproduces that, she'll probably win the coronation. But I think if Pizza Bianca's alongside her with a furlong to go, she'll have that same kind of acceleration to take her to the line. She's a sprinter running over a slightly longer trip, but she stays. I think you should definitely pay some focus to this horse, Pizza Bianca, in the Coronation Stakes on Friday.
Yeah, horse who, at the time of recording, we don't know who's going to ride. We absolutely 100% know who's going to ride the last 2 horses we'll mention, because Irad Ortiz Jr. is taking the ride on every single Wesley Ward horse. The next one I love, but I'm not sure what I'm going to love about Rithin. The price could be anything. She goes for the Palace of Holyrood House. That's one of the newer races at Royal Ascot, the 3-year-old 5 furlong race, which is a 0 to 105. Now, Rithin came to Royal Ascot last year as the #1 best chance for Wesley Ward. The second she got to England, her works just deteriorated and she fell apart a touch. She didn't run all that well at Royal Ascot. She went well for a little way, and myself and Tom were pinning our hopes on to Rithin last year, but the works, and they were widely reported, just weren't fantastic. So do keep your ears to the ground regarding that. Hopefully she's travelled over a bit better this time around. Obviously, she went last time to Keeneland. She managed to get the better of Derrynane, who is a horse we spoke about on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, me more favourably than Tom. And Derrynane was a bit disappointing, it must be said, but it was a new trip. It was a funny little race. I do think Rithin is a lot better than we've seen. There's a chance that Rithin over in America is a Grade 1 horse, and a strong chance of that. If the handicapper gives Rithin under 100, I will be having a decent bet on Rithin. Even if Rithin sort of gets a mark of just over 100, you have to really take her seriously. But Tom made the point to me off air the other day, could be 3 to 1, could be 14 to 1. We just don't know. Either way, Tom, I want Rithin on side here.
Yeah, she's a very intriguing runner, and one that not many people know much about. Obviously, only 3 starts and 1 run at Ascot, but that clearly wasn't the horse that we know. But one horse that everyone knows plenty about is Campanelle, and the horse that we're going to end this podcast with. She runs in the Platinum Jubilee on Saturday, trained by Wesley Ward. Had 8 starts, 4 of them have come in Europe, 2 at Ascot. She's unbeaten here, albeit she didn't pass the line in front last year. Dragon Symbol carried her across the track, and she was awarded the race in the Stewards Room. That was the Commonwealth Cup. Now she runs in the Platinum Jubilee. She's a Prix Morny winner. She's a bona fide Grade 1 or Group 1 filly. She's a really good filly. And I'm sure everyone listening right now didn't come to this podcast to hear about Campanelle, because we know all about her. She's a major player. Her best efforts actually haven't even come in the US. You can largely put a line through all of those runs when you're looking at her for a Royal Ascot contest. She was pretty good in the Listed Giants Causeway Stakes, though, last time, you have to say. She proved that day that she hasn't just become a 2 or 3-year-old. Like, she's become a 4-year-old now. She's ready to take on the older horses. I think she's a major player. Again, it's a really deep race. And who knows, like the soft ground last year seemed to help her. Maybe the rattling fast ground will play against Campanelle, and that's why she hasn't been performing to the same standard in the US. But look, you can't write Campanelle off. She's a very good filly. Irad takes the ride. He'll be experienced at Royal Ascot by this point. Maybe she wins the Platinum Jubilee on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time horses go abroad, the racing public, if they keep returning over there, they kind of adopt said horse. The likes of Red Caddo down in Australia. That was an Australian horse as far as some Australian racegoers go. Campanelle's one of us. She's our horse now. We've claimed her. She loves England. She loves Europe. She's one of us. She's absolutely fine. They are the horses that are confirmed for Royal Ascot. There might be one or two more surprises, as Tom mentions throughout the course of the week. Rusty Arnold might have one more to come over as well, but we will see upon that. We'll try and update on social media and the likes. You're going to hate this question. Best chance of a US winner at Royal Ascot 2022?
Yeah, it's a difficult question because obviously this is the part where everyone listening is going, right, this is the one horse I need to pay attention to. I really like Pizza Bianca in the Coronation, I have to say, but she isn't the horse I'm going to be mentioning here. I think she's definitely worth a bet if she's a double figure price. This is on the Friday. The best chance means the horse I think is the most likely winner, obviously, and that is Golden Pal in the King's Stand. He is electric from the start. He has everything you need to win a 5 furlong sprint. He has proven course form, the second, as you've already touched on, behind the Learjet in the Norfolk 2 years ago. And yes, he wasn't very good when we last saw him in the Nunthorpe at York, but that wasn't the Golden Pal. It's a bit like Ruthin we've already discussed last time when she came over to Ascot. It just wasn't the horse that we know. And Golden Pal just wasn't the horse we know at York. He just bombed out from an early stage. He raced keenly. He didn't settle like he normally does in the States. My one concern, as I already touched on, is the fact that Winter Power is in the King's Stand. They could get embroiled in an early battle. And we saw last year in the King's Stand, a horse can come from behind and win from miles off the pace in Oxted, Arecibo flying home. Maybe that's the case this year, and Golden Power, Winter Power, etc. don't get home. But I think he's by far the most likely chance of a winner for the US. Wesley Ward's got him bang on. He had a gallop around Chelmsford the other day. He's had 5 works since his last ran, and he's been impressive each time. He's the horse that the US contingent really want to win because not only is he owned by Coolmore and obviously everything that comes from that, stallion career, etc., but he's also the hype horse in America, considered the best sprinter. I really love him to win, and I think Irad will get the week started on a good note with him. Golden Pal.
I don't know who the best chance is. Probably Golden Pal. I'd agree with you, but I think Campanelle's not far behind. Yeah. Certainly, I will be backing a few of these throughout the course of the week. I know me and you'll be biased anyway because we like our American racing, but I genuinely do think there are some chances. If you were to pin me down, I'd say Golden Pal is probably the best chance they've got, but Golden Pal is also the one that things could go wrong quickest for as well. He's not going to miss the break because he never does, but if he missed the break, nightmare. If he gets taken on up front, nightmare, and they go a little bit too hard like we saw in the Nunthorpe. But I think Golden Pal is the best chance. He is the best sprinter in the world, in my opinion. Sorry, any Australians watching this. I know Nature Strip is here as well. Nature Strip's got a massive chance, but I think Golden Pal is better. I just can't wait to watch the King's Stand. I said to you last night 2 things: over under on American winners. What would you set the bar at?
I think it would be, if that was a market SBK had, I think it would be 10 to 11 each of 2, over and under 1.5. I think it would be an intriguing market to have actually as well, because you can make a case, as we have done this podcast, for 4 or 5 of them, but also it would be perfectly realistic just to see one of these horses win, or even 0 on a bad week like last year, where nothing seemed to go right for the US runners. I think the most realistic shout there is 1 or 2 winners, which is why over under 1.5 is the perfect line. Golden Pal being the one, Campanelle being the possible, Ruthin being the possible, Love Reigns being the possible, Pizza Bianca being the possible. They have strong chances, but not bona fide Baid in the Queen Anne chance or Caribus kind of chance. Golden Pal is definitely the most likely winner, and I'm glad you mentioned him there because I thought you were going to say Ruthin. But
I would love to. Come back to me on Monday when we know what mark Ruthin's got and what price. Then I will probably change my answer to Ruthin. But I just don't know. I can't put up a horse as a best bet out of the American horses when I don't know what mark they've got and what price they are. So that was going away from that. People don't want to sit here and listen to us say, well, maybe. Bold prediction. What's the maximum amount of winners America might well have? 3.
That's my bold prediction. I mean, I could easily say 8 and be very unrealistic.
10.
Yeah, but I think 3. There's some really hot races at Royal Ascot, and most of the US runners are contending those hot races. There doesn't seem to be an obvious favourite aside from Golden Pal in the King's Stand, maybe Love Reigns as well. But I think 3 is what if the US train 3 Royal Ascot winners, they've had an extremely good week. What do you reckon?
Are you brave enough to name the 3?
Yeah, sure. I think Golden Pal, Pizza Bianca, and Love Reigns are the 3 most likely.
Okay, I'll go bold prediction 4. Won't happen, but 4. Golden Pal, Love Reigns, Rithin, and Campanelle. I think Campanelle might be in a really bad race, to be honest, the Platinum Jubilee. A few of them, Nature Strip, I don't know if Nature Strip's going to run in both, maybe, but Nature Strip will be running in the King Stand first. And I'm not convinced about the others. And I love Campanelle. I think she's a very, very good racehorse. So bold prediction 4, and I will be having a lucky 15 on those 4, Tom.
I like that.
They are the US horses for Royal Ascot of 2022 from a whole variety of yards. Don't forget, of course, ahead of Royal Ascot, you can take advantage of this offer. New SBK customers will get £30 in free bets by depositing at £10. T's and C's do apply, but can't wait for Royal Ascot. Tom, I imagine our views will change over the next few days, but thank you for your help today. It's been good fun.
Yes, thanks very much, Luke. Hopefully we're celebrating a US winner when we come to the Saturday Night Selections podcast next week. It would just be great for not just for us who are US fans and want to see these horses compete against our horses that we know very well over in Britain, but just good for Royal Ascot as a whole. It's great to see the international contenders coming across, the international vibe. It really is the Olympics of horse racing. You don't get this at Cheltenham. I know all the jumps fans will be like, oh, you've mentioned Cheltenham bad light there. But you don't get really the foreign horses coming across. Royal Ascot's different because of that. And it's great just to see the likes of Wesley Ward, Christophe Clement train horses and come across and really target these races. I hope they're successful this week.
Yeah, we will be recording next week's SBK Saturday Night Selections on Friday morning. So hopefully that's after Golden Pal has won, Love Reigns has won, and maybe 1 or 2 more. But we'll be looking forward to Rithin and Campanelle. But thank you for joining us on this SBK one-off. Throughout the course of the year, we will be doing ones like this when American runners do come over to the UK. And hopefully you found it helpful as well. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment and a like down below. Any horses that you fancy for Royal Ascot, do let us know. And if you are listening to this on podcast, wherever you do get it from, please rate it 5-star. We do appreciate that, and we'll be back next Friday-ish, but for the Saturday Night Selections. Tom, thank you very much once again.
Yes, thank you, Luke.
Until we next see you guys, have a very good Royal Ascot. Stay safe. Look after one another. Goodbye.